Look, Jacy, Sheldon knees Cece in the groin.
It was just a weird...
It is not looking good for Caitlin Clark. This was by far the worst ref game. It looked like they wanted Caitlin Clark to be hurt, or they wanted something bad to happen to Caitlin. There was new footage that has come out.
Caitlin Clark is injured again.
Allegedly, Jacy Sheldon kneeing Caitlin Clark in the groin.
But it's a foul. It is clearly a foul, and obviously this is called as a no call.
New footage just dropped, and it changes everything. A new angle clearly shows Jacy Sheldon driving her knee into Caitlin Clark's groin as the ref watches and does nothing.
These referees was completely ridiculous. The referees was a complete disaster.
Caitlin instantly clutches the spot in pain, but the game goes on like nothing happened.
Grab the inside of that right leg.
She grabbed the inside of that right leg. This wasn't a borderline foul. It was targeted. The league might look away, but fans won't. She's the one driving viewership and filling seats.
She's the one bringing all the viewers.
She was the reason we won.
And the Indiana Fever plays their best when Caitlin is on the floor. Yeah, I get it 1,000%.
The moment this new angle hit the internet, slow motion, HD, crystal clear, it exploded. You can see it. Sheldon charges at Caitlin, lifts her leg, and drives her knee right where it hurts most. No accident, no gray area, just blatant.
There was new footage that has come out. Allegedly, Jacy Sheldon kneeing Caitlin Clark in the groin. Look, Jacy Sheldon knees Cece in the groin.
Her foot's off the ground, momentum driving forward, aimed straight at Caitlin. The moment the knee lands, Caitlin doubles over, grimacing and clutching her body.
39 seconds in the game, she holding her leg because she knew, Caitlin knew she was hurt.
Yet the ref just feet away lets it slide. No foul, no replay, no whistle, nothing.
So there's a referee standing right there we all can see. Can you guys see this right here? You guys see that? That is a knee. Jacy Sheldon's knee is all the way fully, her whole leg is fully extended.
Caitlin Clark took a knee to the groin from Jacy Sheldon, but it's a foul. It is clearly a foul, and obviously this is called as a no call.
It went nuclear on social media. Sheldon knee started trending as fans flooded platforms demanding answers. Was it intentional? Dangerous? At the very least, it should have been called, but it wasn't. That silence says everything. Caitlin Clark is fair game. Her reaction said it all. No flop, no scream, just pain, real pain.
Off the ground into Caitlin Clark hand and groin area. You clearly see that. She immediately grabs her groin. She knows she's hurt.
That's what hits hardest. Not just that she was hurt, but that the league's biggest star keeps getting targeted while no one steps in. This clip didn't spark a conversation, it confirmed one.
It looked like they wanted Caitlin Clark to be hurt, or they wanted something bad to happen to Caitlin, bro.
It confirmed what fans have suspected for weeks. This isn't just tough defense, it's a pattern. A dangerous, unchecked pattern. And now, there's footage to prove it. This wasn't a one-off dirty play. Caitlin Clark's been taking hit after hit all season. Elbows, shoves, eye pokes, and now a blatant knee. Game after game. And the WNBA, they've done next to nothing.
A fan's point of view of what happened. Watch this. So this was actually inside the stadium.
Because the fix is in that they can be extra physical with Clark.
This isn't gritty defense, it's punishment. And there's a big difference. It's no longer about stopping her game, it's about sending a message. You don't belong. Referees are enabling it. Game after game, Caitlin's left pleading for basic calls, seen mid-game just asking to be heard. And when she pushes back, she's the one warned for a tech.
Caitlin Clark did get injured again, in her right groin this time. The previous groin injury was her left groin, and it is not looking good because groins are an injury that do take quite a while to actually fully heal.
It's backwards. Even her coach, Stephanie White, admits there's a different standard for Caitlin, a harsher level of physicality being allowed. Yet, the league stays silent. No action, no accountability, no word from the commissioner. Refs keep missing it, and fans are fed up, flooding comments, reposting clips, demanding change.
She was livid. She told the referee to grow up, got Agnes confirmed. That's exactly what Caitlin Clark said to the ref. She told the ref to grow up.
The referee was embarrassing. The referee then said something to Caitlin Clark and completely set Caitlin Clark off.
She had snapped at a referee earlier. She had held her head down in the midst of her shooting slump.
Even Caitlin's brother had enough. After the Sheldon hit, he blasted the refs online for letting his sister get assaulted with no consequences. And he's not alone. Analysts, commentators, even former players are saying the same. Everyone sees it, but the league pretends it's not happening. That silence is dangerous. This isn't in a vacuum. There's resentment simmering. Caitlin didn't rise gradually. She exploded onto the scene. Overnight, she changed the game. Record ratings, sold-out arenas, global buzz. And for some WNBA vets, that's hard to swallow.
She's got hurt again. This is her fourth upper leg injury on her other leg.
It's difficult to see Clark holding back tears.
And we want to see Caitlin Clark ball.
She didn't climb the ranks the old way. She blew the doors off with popularity, fans, and cultural impact. And instead of meeting her with skill, some players respond with shoves, cheap shots. And now, as seen in that viral clip, knees. Meanwhile, where's Kathy Engelbert? Silent. No statement, no action, no support for the league's biggest star. As Caitlin takes brutal hit after hit, Engelbert stays quiet. Fans are watching it all unfold, and now many are openly calling on NBA Commissioner Adam Silver to step in.
These referees was completely ridiculous. They're holding Kathy accountable for Adam Silver to possibly step in and get rid of Kathy.
Yes, it's gotten that bad. When fans are begging the head of another league to step in, trust is gone. This isn't just about an injured player. It's about what happens when a league refuses to protect the star who sparked its rise. Caitlin Clark isn't being targeted for strategy. She's being sacrificed for ego, resentment, and power. And Engelbert's silence? That's approval in disguise.
Fever win in the ugliest 85-77. Fourth quarter was as long as that Wings game. It just dragged, man. There were 15 of the 33 fouls in this game were all in that fourth quarter, along with stoppages. Caitlin Clark had a tough shooting night again. At this point, it was clear through this game she's not 100%.
This wasn't just another injury. It cracked the foundation the WNBA was trying to build. When the clip of Jacy Sheldon kneeing Caitlin went viral, fans weren't just mad, they were heartbroken. That footage showed more than pain. It showed a collapse of trust. A league finally in the spotlight, fumbling it by letting its biggest star get hurt with zero consequences. Caitlin didn't just bring fans, she brought energy, relevance. A revolution. She filled empty arenas, turned regular games into events, made kids care, made Fever jerseys cool. And what's she gotten? A brutal knee, silent refs, tearful moments under a towel. And now, with the All-Star game near, she might not even play.
And Indiana has done it. Their first ever Commissioner's Cup championship, knocking off the Minnesota Lynx. This is Howard setting up McDonald, knocking down the tray. Finds it cutting McDonald, easy deuce.
You won't believe what the Indiana Fever just pulled off. Missing their biggest star, Caitlin Clark, seemingly abandoned by veteran DeWanna Bonner, and staring down the league's most dominant squad in the Minnesota Lynx, they were all but written off. With MVP frontrunner Nafisa Collier leading the charge, this was supposed to be a Lynx coronation, not a contest. But the Fever flipped the script and delivered a jaw-dropping display of grit, unity, and sheer willpower. Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Natasha Howard lit up the court, turning a sure loss into a seismic statement. This wasn't just an upset, it was a defining moment. And when Caitlin Clark spoke after the buzzer, her 6 simple words perfectly captured why this victory will echo far beyond the final score. Picture this, the Indiana Fever walking into the Target Center for their first ever Commissioner's Cup final, with their roster barely holding together. Caitlin Clark, the superstar sophomore who had been the engine of this team all season long, sat on the bench for the 3rd straight game, sidelined by a stubborn groin injury that refused to heal. And this wasn't just any absence. This was their top scorer, their floor general, their national sensation, the player who filled arenas coast to coast, the spark behind every highlight, the heartbeat of a franchise chasing its moment in the spotlight.
With Caitlin and her status, just how did she look? How did she feel today during shoot-around? And is she making progress and getting closer playing?
She's making progress. She's making progress. You know, I think, again, top of mind, I think I told you this afternoon, is just long-term. You know, making sure that we don't have any setbacks. Making progress and feeling good are 2 different things, and we want to make sure that she feels good. We want to make sure that she's confident. We want to make sure that we're not putting her in a position to have any setbacks, and that's the priority right now.
But the Fever's challenges didn't stop there. Damiris Dantas was thousands of miles away, competing in the FIBA AmeriCup, leaving a huge gap in an already stretched rotation. Her absence meant no veteran grit, no inside toughness, and one less weapon in a game where every possession mattered.
Hey, Fever, I miss you.
Then came the DeWanna Bonner situation that left everyone stunned. This was the veteran the Fever brought in during the offseason to bring leadership, stability, and a championship mindset. And what did she do? She walked away after just 9 games, leaving the team reeling and eventually getting waived. It felt like the ultimate betrayal, abandoning your teammates right when they needed you the most, in the middle of a season hanging by a thread.
DeWanna Bonner was brought in for leadership. She was brought in for leadership. And do you want to know all that these young players learned from her? If things don't go your way, refuse to show up. Continue to get paid a max contract while you are sitting out, refusing to play.
She got benched. She couldn't handle it. I want out. She's not playing well. She's getting criticized. I want out.
Now, let's talk about the mountain they were up against. The Minnesota Lynx. This wasn't just a strong team. This was a juggernaut. With a 14-1 record heading into the final, they were the best squad in the entire WNBA. They were the reigning Commissioner's Cup champions, playing on their home floor, backed by a sold-out crowd, and led by MVP frontrunner Nafisa Collier. The atmosphere was electric. The outcome, according to just about everyone, already decided. Vegas had the Lynx favored by 14 points. Pundits called it a mismatch, a guaranteed blowout. Without their stars, Indiana wasn't just an underdog. They were being treated like they didn't even belong on the same court.
They look pretty flawless, in the way that they're playing. I don't know if different is the word as much as they look even more connected. They're a team that was connected a year ago, but really the nuance of having each other's back on the defensive end, of knowing where your teammate's going to be, discipline to coverages, the connectivity that they have on the offensive end of the floor. I mean, the way that they move with and without the ball, the way that the ball moves makes it really tough to cover. I often say that offense is like a dance, and they are flowing, man. They are making music, and there's no doubt about it. So we have to try to be disruptive, and we have to try to take them out of that rhythm.
Here's where it got brutally tough for the Fever. This was supposed to be their moment, their first ever Commissioner's Cup final, and instead, everything that could possibly go wrong did. Their stars were out, their depth was gutted, and the pressure was suffocating. The players who remained knew the spotlight was glaring down on them, with every critic just waiting for them to collapse. It was David versus Goliath, except this David had a busted slingshot, a fractured lineup, and the sinking feeling that half the army had already walked off the battlefield. Here's where things really started to unravel. Without Caitlin Clark, the Fever looked like a shell of the team fans had fallen in love with. They had dropped 3 of their last 5 games leading into the Commissioner's Cup final, blowing double-digit leads that should have been locked-in victories. Their offense, once fast and fluid, ground to a halt, stripping away the rhythm that made them such a threat. Ball movement vanished. Players abandoned the system and started going one-on-one, forcing bad shots instead of finding the open teammate. You could see it unraveling play by play, a team losing its identity right before your eyes. This wasn't the thrilling, cohesive unit that had packed arenas and sparked headlines all year long.
Coach, this is your first season with this batch of players, and so I'm just wondering if the Commissioner's Cup is just a stepping stone for greater things to come.
Well, I hope so. But at the same time, we want to take care of business now, right? We want to win a cup. So we're not looking at it necessarily as a stepping stone. We're looking at it as an opportunity to win. And then we're looking at it, as coaches, as an opportunity to continue to stack days. We haven't had a lot of consistency in our lineup, and so we haven't really built that camaraderie and connectedness that we need in order for us to be successful. But we can take another step towards growth, another step towards consistency on the floor, in execution, in energy level. We're playing the best team in the league right now, and we've got to come out and we got to play our A game.
Let's talk about Aaliyah Boston, a dominant force when used right, but in the games leading up to the final, she was left stranded. She'd carve out perfect position in the paint, ready to go to work, only to watch her teammates hoist up contested threes instead of feeding her the ball. Boston thrives when the offense runs through her, but without the right passes, her impact was stifled. You could see the frustration written all over her face. The team's identity crumbled without their floor general. Caitlin Clark wasn't just the scorer or assist leader. She was the conductor, the voice that kept the offense humming and the ball moving. Without her, the Fever looked disjointed, unsure of who they were. Opponents noticed too. Defenses locked in on Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston, no longer fearing Clark's ability to disrupt their schemes, and it showed in every possession.
What are some of the keys that you see as to how exactly you're going to do that, or what you guys need to do to approach the game successfully?
Yeah, I think we've got to be disruptive. We've got to make sure that we play with a level of physicality that doesn't allow them to just pass the ball around where everywhere that they want to pass it. So we've got to make sure that we're disruptive. We got to make sure that we're elite at our on ball screen defense. This is a team that reads really well, that moves really well. We got to be elite at the point of attack on ball screen defense. We always talk about guarding our yard, being able to guard one-on-one, so we're not in rotation early. I think for us, it's going to have to start on the defensive end of the floor, so that allows us to get out and run in transition as well. But we can't allow them to just do exactly what they want to do on the offensive end.
This Commissioner's Cup game turned into the ultimate gut check for the entire squad. Could they crack the code to winning hoops without their superstar? Could they revive the ball movement and chemistry that once made them click like a highlight reel? That uphill battle made what happened next not just surprising, but downright legendary.
I watched them all the time. I think I watched Indiana State and Iowa, Caitlin Clark play about the same last year. So I watched a lot of basketball.
Can we get Caitlin Clark a little protection out there?
Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time.
What happens when one of the greatest basketball legends of all time watches the most talented young player in the WNBA get targeted by questionable tactics? You're about to find out, because Larry Bird's explosive comments about Marina Mabrey's actions against Caitlin Clark have absolutely rocked the basketball world to its foundation. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a superstar player get targeted the way Caitlin Clark has been in her career? Because what Larry Bird saw during that Connecticut Sun game completely shifted his entire outlook on what's unfolding in the WNBA right now. Now, here's what makes Bird's perspective absolutely crushing for Marina Mabrey. Larry Bird has stood in Caitlin Clark's exact shoes before. Back in the 1980s, Bird reigned as the most skilled player in a league full of elite athletes who resorted to physical intimidation simply because they couldn't match his unmatched basketball IQ. But here's the crucial difference that Bird highlighted. And this is where it gets really interesting for Mabry's reputation. Bird understands the fine line between elite competitive basketball and the kind of targeting he's witnessing against Clark. And when he saw what Mabry did, he called it the most cowardly act I've seen on a basketball court in decades.
Mabry kind of blindsided Clark there. Oh boy. Sheldon and Cunningham are getting into it. These two teams do not like each other.
When Bird watched the footage of Mabry shoving Clark from behind while she was dealing with getting poked in the eye, his reaction was immediate and absolutely brutal. This is a man who battled against legendary enforcers like Bill Laimbeer and Dennis Rodman, who understood what genuine competitive fire looked like better than almost anyone in basketball history. Yet even he could see that what Mabry did crossed every single line of sportsmanship and competitive integrity. But wait until you hear what Bird said about the timing of that shove. This is where his analysis becomes absolutely devastating for Mabry. The basketball legend pointed out something that many fans have been thinking, but nobody with his incredible credibility has dared to say out loud. There's a massive difference between playing championship-level defense and taking cheap shots at a player when they're completely vulnerable and not looking. Bird emphasized that in his era, widely considered the most physical period in NBA history, if you had a problem with someone, you faced them head-on like a warrior. You didn't wait until their back was turned to make your move like some kind of predator. And that's exactly what infuriated Bird the most about Mabry's disgraceful approach. But here's where Bird's criticism becomes absolutely nuclear for Marina Mabry's reputation. What particularly set the Celtics legend on fire was watching Mabry's pathetic reaction after the incident. Instead of showing even the slightest bit of remorse or acknowledging that maybe she crossed a line, Mabry acted like she was being unfairly criticized by the media and fans. She said, "Damned if I do, damned if I don't." But those words set Bird off even further. Bird pointed out that the truly elite competitors, the champions, the legends, own their actions, especially when those actions could endanger another player. Watching Mabry dodge accountability and frame herself as the victim, he said, reminded him of athletes who, deep down, knew they couldn't truly hang with the best. So instead, they resorted to questionable tactics just to make a mark. Essentially, Bird didn't hold back. He branded Marina Mabry as a second-tier player relying on dirty plays because she lacks the skill to compete through pure talent and legit basketball ability. Bird's insight takes a jaw-dropping turn and sheds serious light on Caitlin Clark. He sees in her the same ultra-rare traits that once made him one of the greatest to ever do it. That mind-bending basketball IQ, those impossible clutch shots, and that freakish court vision that elevates everyone around her. But Bird also revealed a real concern that speaks volumes about the state of the game. He sees a once-in-a-generation talent like Clark being forced to stay alert for cheap shots and foul play, when all she should be doing is soaring toward her limitless potential. In Bird's view, Mabry's antics perfectly represent a growing problem in today's game. Instead of grinding to reach Clark's level or pushing themselves harder in the gym and on the court, some players are targeting her when she's least able to defend herself. Bird's take on that behavior? He called it the weakest form of basketball competition imaginable. And here's the kicker, the part of Bird's comments that lit up the basketball world. He said he knows what it's like to be physically targeted, to be bruised and battered night after night. But what Clark is going through, it's something else entirely, and in Bird's eyes, that makes her rise even more extraordinary. He said Clark is already facing more adversity at just 22 than most pros ever will in a full career, and she's doing it while shouldering the immense pressure of being the undisputed face of women's basketball. But it was Bird's scathing take on Marina Mabry's future in the league that set the internet on fire, and once you hear it, you'll understand why. Bird warned that if the WNBA keeps letting players like Mabry go after its stars without real consequences, it sends a dangerous message that average players can stay relevant through cheap shots instead of putting in the work to get better. And in doing so, he said, the league risks losing the very athletes who are lifting the game to incredible new heights. He didn't stop there. Bird argued that the league's failure to take a stand against this kind of behavior sends the wrong message to young fans watching from home. Instead of seeing the game as a showcase for skill, passion, and sportsmanship, kids are witnessing how to exploit weakness and attack when opponents are most vulnerable. But the most powerful moment in Bird's commentary came when he turned the spotlight back on Clark and made a bold prediction. He said every dirty hit, every attempt to rattle her, every moment of adversity is forging her into something even greater. That these trials are strengthening her mind and sharpening her focus, and that she'll rise not through retaliation, but through breathtaking basketball brilliance. Bird reflected on his own rookie year, recalling how players used to try to break him physically just to see if he'd fold under pressure. But Clark? He said she's enduring all that, and the unmatched media frenzy that comes with being the most marketable star the WNBA has ever seen. That's why Bird's support hits so deep. He's not just backing a gifted young player, he's standing up for what makes basketball special. In Caitlin Elizabeth Clark, Bird sees everything that embodies the soul of the sport: skill, heart, intelligence, grace. And in Mabry's actions, he sees the exact kind of shortcut that threatens to tear it all down. The basketball icon didn't mince words. Larry Bird made it crystal clear that the WNBA is standing at a pivotal crossroads. They have a choice: protect and spotlight their biggest stars so talents like Caitlin Clark can thrive and elevate the entire league, or keep letting fringe players cling to relevance through cheap shots and dirty tactics. Bird's message was thunderous. The future of the league hinges on this decision. But now, here's the question lighting up every corner of the basketball world. Will the WNBA actually take Bird's warning seriously and protect Caitlin Clark? Or will they continue to let players like Marina Mabry drag down the league's reputation with on-court behavior that has no place in professional basketball? So let's open the floor. What's your take on Bird's absolutely blistering takedown of Mabry's antics? Was he right on the money, or did he go too far? And more importantly, do you think the WNBA will finally take real steps to defend its biggest star? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more coverage that doesn't sugarcoat the truth and dive straight into what's really going on in the basketball world, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. The whole basketball community is watching this unfold in real time, and Larry Bird's explosive comments? They might just be the spark that forces the league to finally act. This story is just getting started. Don't blink.
Looks like she's in pain after that pass. She had been dealing most recently with a groin injury.
Celebration quickly turned to panic at Boston's TD Garden after the Fever secured their third straight win over the Sun. As fans cheered, Caitlin Clark limped off, clutching her groin, the same injury that had sidelined her before. Cameras showed her in tears on the bench. What made it worse, refs again ignored the rough play that's targeted Clark and the Fever all season. Head coach Stephanie White is speaking out.
No update. Just felt a little something in her groin, so we'll get it evaluated and see what happens from there.
Yeah, just kind of to follow up on that, looked like she was kind of grabbing at her right groin area. Is that the concern?
Yeah, if that's the one she was grabbing at, I don't know which one it was, but yeah, I mean, that's it.
TD Garden felt more like Indianapolis than Connecticut as Fever fans took over, chanting, "Let's go Fever" throughout the arena. Though it was the Suns' home court, the crowd clearly favored Indiana. The Fever dominated 85-77 for their third straight win, led by Kelsey Mitchell's 20 points and Natasha Howard's 18-point, 13-rebound, double-double. At 12-10, they looked playoff ready until everything unraveled in the final minute.
Right here, she explodes, makes the backdoor pass, and immediately grabs the inside of that right leg. Yeah.
In seconds, everything changed. A routine play ended with Clark clutching her right groin in pain, then slamming her head against the basket stanchion in frustration, breaking hearts everywhere.
She walks down to the end of the court. You can tell that she's in pain. You can tell that there's something wrong. She goes to the, what's it called, like stanchion or whatever, the thing that holds up the basketball hoop on the other end. She hits her head on it. She is fighting back tears and she walks straight over to the bench. Now, when she goes over to the bench, she starts crying. And I've honestly never seen Caitlin Clark cry on the court except when she lost the national championship game. She keeps it together no matter what is happening. But you could just tell that something happened on that play. And it was either the pain of it, it was either like, here we go again, it was frustration.
Cameras caught a haunting image, tears streaming down Clark's face on the bench. Her pain was unmistakable. This wasn't fatigue, it was the same groin issue that sidelined her before. She'd already missed 5 games with a left groin injury. Now, it's the right one, sparking real concern about overcompensation and her long-term health.
Test. But right now on the bench after looking like she is in some pain.
The arena fell silent in an instant. Cheers turned to concern as fans and teammates realized something was wrong with Caitlin Clark. The joy disappeared from players' faces as medical staff rushed in. Coach Stephanie White said Clark felt something in her groin and would be evaluated. With the WNBA All-Star Game days away in Indianapolis, where Clark was set to captain, her status and Indiana's title hopes are now in question.
We probably won't get many details about the injury, but it was honestly just so heartbreaking to see because in that moment, she just looked so defeated. And Caitlin Clark is somebody, she hides it really well, and I don't know if hiding it or she handles it is probably the right thing to say. She handles the pressure. She handles all of the media spotlight, the attention, the expectations of how she performs on the court, the expectations of the ratings for her games. She handles all of that so well, and this season has just been so tough for her when it comes to injuries.
This injury highlights how the league has failed to protect Clark all season. She'd already missed 10 games with leg injuries, and now faces another setback. It all traces back to June 17th against the same Connecticut Sun, when the physical play against her first crossed the line and marked a shift in how opponents targeted her.
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and Jacy Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down. Sheldon, that was Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabry comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
Jacy Sheldon poked Clark in the eye, and Marina Mabry followed with a hard body check, both clearly beyond normal play. These weren't basketball moves. They were targeted, dangerous actions.
Then Mabry came in with a bump.
And Mabry's day is almost assuredly going to be done.
What cameras missed was the aftermath that fueled this revenge game. The incident created lasting tension, with players remembering every detail. Sophie Cunningham stood up for Clark, confronting Sheldon and Mabry right after their hits. Her actions showed the Fever's unity and determination to protect their star.
Sophie commits a hard foul on Jacy Sheldon. Again, as Jacy Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm going to give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional. It was absolutely intentional.
The league's weak response to those dirty plays sent a message. Targeting Clark was allowed. Fans and players felt she wasn't being protected. By the Boston game, the tension was obvious. Players exchanged stares in warm-ups, and the energy felt heavier. Clark played with a sharp edge, attacking harder and passing with purpose. Every possession felt personal.
Sheldon is going to keep the pressure on Clark. You see Tina Charles with the responsibility of guarding Aaliyah Boston. High hedge on the ball screen on Clark. Inside perfectly. One thing you know about Tina Charles, she has every shot in her arsenal. Now Sheldon The height disadvantage against Howard. Yeah, good recognition.
Every possession had extra intensity. Screens hit harder, stares lasted longer, and players bumped after whistles. Refs had to step in more than once. This felt like payback, and Clark delivered until the injury. Then, questionable calls made it all feel even more personal.
Also something where she's never battled injuries in college. She's always been something who has been a very healthy player. And this year it has been quad injury, and then another quad injury, and then a groin injury, and now what seems to be another groin injury. Now, again, you guys, this is all from what we're seeing. We're just putting 2 and 2 together. Nothing has been confirmed, but it seems like she did re-injure her leg on that play. Now,
here's where it got ugly. The refs didn't just miss calls, they made things worse. Their poor officiating overshadowed the Fever's 3rd straight win, shifting focus from the game to their loss of control.
there are multiple moments in this game that were so egregiously called, or there was no calls by the referees, and it's getting out of control at this point. And even Caitlin Clark's brother tweeted, "This one is on the refereeing." Like, there are people in Caitlin Clark's family who are starting to call out the referees because of how bad they have been.
The officiating was so poor that even Clark couldn't stay silent. Frustration built as obvious fouls went uncalled. She argued with referee Mike Price, who said something that clearly rattled her. In the 3rd quarter, cameras caught her jawing at him on her way to the bench.
I'm not a good lip reader. I'm trying.
I got it. And that was Breon January, who is played 9 years in Indiana and now on the staff. And that's a live shot now of Caitlin Clark. He's still upset and wants an explanation from Michael Price.
And maybe at the timing of when that challenge happens.
Aaliyah Boston was slapped in the face, and Sophie Cunningham took an elbow to the back, both with no real calls. Tina Charles clearly struck Boston, yet refs didn't review it and only called a common foul, leaving fans stunned.
And this was probably the worst one of them all. This is Aaliyah Boston and Tina Charles, and they are battling in the post. And then you can see Tina Charles just kind of swims around and then throws Aaliyah Boston to the ground, like punches down on her. And she's on the ground, and that was not called a flagrant one. That was called literally a common foul, you guys. Hands up at this point. Like, I don't even know what the players can do because the players aren't being protected.
Cunningham took an elbow to the head with no foul called, leaving commentators and fans in disbelief.
I want to show you another play with Sophie Cunningham. So this one, she actually quote tweeted herself. As you can see, she's running up, and then Hartley kind of elbows her in the neck, and Sophie falls to the ground. Now, she reposted this, and she said, "They said I flopped, LOL." So I guess the referees told her that she flopped on that play, or the players, who knows. Somebody told her that she flopped on that play.
Frustration showed on every Fever player's face as missed calls piled up. It wasn't just Clark. Everyone was getting hit with no response from officials. Players exchanged looks of disbelief. This wasn't a one-off. Refs have let opponents play overly physical with Clark all season. Commentators even showed a highlight reel of uncalled fouls, underscoring the growing controversy.
There's been so many things, so many players calling out the referees, so many players calling out the physicality, so many players getting injured this season, from superstars to players on the bench, from season-ending injuries to rib injuries to concussions. There have been just so many things, and it doesn't get better. It doesn't get better. This is a nationally televised game on ESPN, and it just doesn't get better.
Other stars get protection, Clark doesn't. She takes hits that would be fouls for anyone else, and even casual fans see the bias. The officiating was so bad, analysts called it one of the worst performances ever. Clark's heated exchange with the ref showed her frustration boiling over. Her brother Colin tweeted, "Make no mistake, this is on the referees." But it was Coach Stephanie White's post-game comments that truly exposed what's been happening.
What is your description of kind of the physical battle that Caitlin particularly faces, maybe within tonight's game or just in general as you've gotten used to coaching her, just what you see she's enduring physically?
Are you trying to get me fined again?
Stephanie White entered the post-game interview visibly frustrated and ready to speak out. When asked about Clark's injury, she kept it brief but pointed. No update, just felt a little something in her groin. So, we'll get it evaluated and see what happens.
I mean, there's a level of physicality that they're able to play with against her. I knew it as an opponent, and I see it as her coach. I'm not exactly sure why, but it just is what it is. And we've got to help her learn to adjust and use it against them in certain ways. We've got to find some ways to make it a little bit easier for her. But the level of physicality overall in our league has been at a different level than it's been for a long time.
White's harsh comments about the refs pointed to a deeper issue than just bad calls. She didn't hold back, saying, "I knew it as an opponent, and I see it as her coach." Having seen both sides, her words carried weight. She added, "I'm not exactly sure why, but it is what it is," revealing frustration and helplessness. White also warned that league-wide physicality has escalated, and now star players are paying the price.
But if you know me, you know I'm not afraid to say I can do better. I am sorry that my message was in the heat of the moment, because when I initially spoke on the topic, it really came from a place of care. I totally recognize that it may have impacted fans in a way that I did not intend, and I am sorry. This is the moment that we've been waiting for in women's basketball. It's way bigger than that. This is the moment.
Women's basketball is blazing. Packed arenas, shattered ratings, and a wave of new fans. But off the court, a storm is brewing. It all blew up on ESPN when Chiny Ogwumike smirked at Kelsey Mitchell. Everyone thought Mitchell would chuckle, shrug it off, keep it light. She didn't. She locked in, stared ahead, and fired back with truth, not drama.
Maybe I'll start with you, Kels, because Lord Jesus, your team and their fans, they be getting up in everybody's business.
And in that moment, everything flipped, because this wasn't just casual banter. It was a line in the sand. Media spin versus lived truth. Gatekeepers versus disruptors. This wasn't sass. It was a reckoning. To outsiders, the ESPN line might have seemed like playful chatter, but Fever fans caught the sting. It wasn't a joke. It was a jab. Another signal Indiana wasn't supposed to thrive. But Kelsey Mitchell didn't blink. She stood tall and said what others wouldn't. Caitlin Clark changed everything.
I think I've seen both sides of it. From one, like being on a team with like Caitlin and knowing that some of the stuff and the wave that she created for like the shift in moments in Indiana period, as far as like the arena.
That single line shattered the media's polished script. For 7 tough seasons, Mitchell stayed true. Through defeats, through heartbreak, and through losing her father in 2023. Now that the spotlight's here at last, she's not stepping aside. Not for ESPN, not for anyone. Kelsey Mitchell had every reason to leave. While other stars chased rings in Vegas or LA, she chose Indiana. Season after season, loss after loss. No glam, no buzz, just heart. She played through silence in the stands. She played through pain, her father's death just before 2023, and never said a word.
Being on a team with like Caitlin, the big moment is seeing the shift and being a part of it from a standpoint that I know where Indiana was. And so to see the cultivation of it, you just grow to appreciate the process and, you know, the growth in which the game is going.
Now, with the Fever finally climbing, the media paints her as a sidekick, like she hasn't been the backbone of this franchise for nearly 10 years. Nope, Mitchell's no backup. She's the blueprint.
Congratulations, Eastern Conference Player of the Week.
And the fact that she's shining now without ever jumping teams or chasing clout is exactly why fans are backing her hard. Because this isn't just hoops. It's loyalty, struggle, and finally, redemption.
Someone on and off the floor, like she's just been a voice that's been there. She's been through this league for 7 years now. Like she knows what to expect. She knows how things are gonna go. And I think more than anything, like we are just starting to understand each other much better. Like We could just make eye contact, and she knows to go back door. She knows to come get the ball. Like, that just comes with playing with one another. So it's been a lot of fun for me. I mean, she's playing so well right now, just as good as anybody in this league. So I feel very lucky and fortunate to have her by my side.
When Kelsey Mitchell said, "The rise of women's basketball has a lot to do with Caitlin Clark," everything shifted. The energy changed. Chinese smirk vanished. Producers probably froze behind the scenes. Because that wasn't just praise, it was a statement. For months, ESPN and league insiders stuck to the same line. It's not just one player. But Mitchell ripped that script in half live on air. No shouting, no theatrics, just truth. And that truth hit harder than any viral moment. Mitchell wasn't backing Clark out of loyalty. She was backing reality. The sold-out crowds, the surging viewership, the wave of new fans. This wasn't hype, it was fact. And when Mitchell dropped it, the balance of power changed forever.
Kelsey Mitchell on the left, of course, Caitlin Clark on the right, the 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year. And boy, what a summer it was, Quinn, with the Fever here.
Caitlin Clark didn't chase the spotlight, she became it. Sold out arenas, record jersey sales, a $28 million Nike deal. She shook the league before even settling in. But instead of celebrating her rise, the media flinched. ESPN downplayed it. Former players threw shade. Why? Because Clark wasn't their pick. She didn't come through the old system, she just showed up and changed the game. Even worse for them, she brought an army, teen girls, dads, grandpas who'd never watched the WNBA. Clark didn't just rise, she revealed what the league had been missing. On paper, they're opposites. Mitchell's the veteran bucket getter, Clark's the floor general. But together, they're a problem. The league wants drama, beef, feuds. Mitchell and Clark, all wins, no noise, no ego, just elite hoops. When the media pushed division, Mitchell backed Clark. When Clark hit bumps, Mitchell picked her up. When Mitchell went off, Clark gave her shine. They don't fit the script, and that's what rattles the league. The WNBA prayed for this. Mainstream buzz, packed stadiums, global hype. Clark delivered. But instead of riding the wave, the gatekeepers got nervous. Analysts parroted, "It's not one player." ESPN tried to spread credit to preserve old narratives. Why? Because they didn't build this. And if Clark keeps rising, it proves they couldn't. Now the same voices who begged for a savior are minimizing the one they got. And fans, they're done pretending. Mitchell saw through it. She spoke truth. And that truth cut deeper than any ESPN segment ever could. The Fever used to be invisible. Empty seats, lousy records, forgotten, except by Kelsey Mitchell. Now, they're the team nobody wants to face. Clark's court vision, Mitchell's scoring clinic, a hungry, gritty roster. This isn't a super team. It's a statement, and the league never saw it coming. While ESPN spins rivalries, the Fever are showing what real chemistry looks like. While commentators debate narratives, Indiana just stacks W's. This isn't hype, it's a takeover, with or without media blessing. So who's the MVP? Mitchell, the loyal warrior who never bailed? Clark, the phenom who lit the fuse? Or the synergy between them that's flipping the whole script? Because let's be clear, the Fever aren't just making noise, they're seizing control. Every time Clark gets slighted, Mitchell fires back. Every time analysts sleep, Indiana goes louder. This isn't a hot run, this is a rebellion. The only question now isn't whether Mitchell and Clark can lead, it's whether the league is ready for the shockwave they've started. If you're rocking with the Fever, smash that like, drop your MVP pick in the comments, and hit subscribe, because this ride, it's only heating up.